Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a show here for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, as you guys are aware on this platform, at least for those of you that have been here before, you guys know that I'm not a really big fan of Malika Andrews, and you guys know that a lot of people are not big fans of Malika Andrews because of her constant attacks on men on television. She always seems angry at dudes, especially, I just got to be honest with you, folks that have my type of complexion. Doesn't mean that's who she exclusively goes after, but that's what it seems like to a lot of us out here. And throughout the years, she's been called out for it, right? Because for whatever reason, she can't really seem to help herself when it comes to that. And a lot of people have pushed back on it. And let me just say this, I think the viewpoints of these people that have pushed back on it absolutely matter. And I'll tell you why. The reason their opinions matter is because they're the paying customer. Hello, to quote Rob Parker, is this on? You can't dismiss the views or the opinions of your viewers. It is patently stupid to do that. You cannot call yourself a business person and then say, you know what my viewers think, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the various protocols that I have within my company and that we're following. That is sheer stupidity. But I digress. I'll get back to that point a little bit later. So I was recently listening to an interview with Stephen A. Smith on the Paul George podcast. And towards the end of his interview, they were going back and forth about ethics in journalism. And Stephen A. Smith was essentially expressing the importance of investigative journalism and asking the questions that he believes the audience wants to hear, number one. And number two, asking the questions that your superiors are requiring you to ask, even if they may land the wrong way. That's what he was saying. During his talk, he then gets to the part where he's talking about Malika Andrews, which shocked me because he's like, and that's why I'm confused with people getting upset with Malika Andrews for asking these questions, because it's her duty to ask those questions. So what we want to do is we want to play exactly what Stephen A. Smith had to say about Malika Andrews, who's one of his colleagues, and then we're going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to that there.
But even I have a tenets of journalism that I have to ask. If you sat up there and just got arrested last night and you come on my show today, I got an obligation to ask you what happened. Look at Hugh Grant. He got caught cheating on his wife years ago. He went on a late night show. It was comedy. And Jay Leno opened the interview. What the hell were you thinking? And the whole crowd burst into laughter. That was his way of having to address what needed to be addressed, because it comes along with the tenets of journalism, which you as athletes don't necessarily have. That doesn't make you wrong. That doesn't disqualify you from having a podcast or anything like that. But understand your role is different. Malika Andrews, my colleague, who everybody saw I got into an issue with on First Take months ago, and I had to check that situation. She getting crucified leading into the draft because she's asking Brandon Miller a question or bringing up somebody's past. She had an obligation to ask those questions. She did her job. If she doesn't do her job, she's off the air. They're like, what we need you for? And so when you see athletes and you recognize the fact that you have enough access to us if you don't know to find that out. Wouldn't it be nice if you just asked? Because we'll tell you.
Yeah.
We'll tell you.
I think, though, in that you brought it up with athletes, like this is the field that this is what we signed up for, right?
Right.
I think that goes in the same tone with journalists, right?
Okay.
This is what they signed up for.
Right.
So I think it's tough for you guys to ask us, because it's an emotional sport.
Sure.
Sports in general, it's an emotional
Right.
ride. Whether we're winning, we're losing, good times, bad times, we got to carry from home into our field, vice versa.
Right.
Like it's chaotic at times.
Right.
And I think you guys can tell the story of what it's like being just human beings.
Sure.
You know, I think a lot of the pictures that being painted is that we're superstars, we're superheroes, we can do this, we can do that. Mm-hmm. We're put on this pedestal mm-hmm. of being able to, you know, mm-hmm. conquer anything, right? And that is the biggest issue that I have mm-hmm. from a journalistic standpoint that mm-hmm. you guys fail to realize, mm-hmm. hey, we too. Right. You know, well, go our way too.
So you heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say. I have a lot of issues with what he had to say. Number one, he's saying that he has no issues with what Malika Andrews is doing. Okay, so wait a minute. You're telling me that the way she's been conducting herself on the network is okay with you. Fine. So why did you push back on her on her television, on your show, when she tried to basically publicly embarrass you on your show? Why did you push back on her then? Because then she crossed the line. Do you know why she crossed the line? She crossed the line because she made it personal about you. She made it she was basically saying, this is not what we're going to do. And so you push back on her there. But when she's discussing other people, it's fair game because after all, it's other people. It's not you. That's number one. Number two, you said that it was her duty to ask that question. Well, some of us out here are not idiots. And we're going to assess and process the words that you said. Okay, let's get into it. It's draft night. Brandon Miller's being drafted. Am I getting this wrong or am I missing something? He's being drafted, right? It's not like we're up there considering to draft him. He's being drafted as one of the top 3 picks or whatever it is. Fantastic. So we know he's going to be selected. Fantastic. Number two, the people watching the show, are they the ones selecting him, or is it the NBA executives that were in that arena or whatever it is, that auditorium? It was the executives. So why would she then take it upon herself, whether she's prompted or not, to ask the question or bring up the point about a situation that he was involved in, that he was never charged with? When she brings that point up, what purpose is she serving? If she brings up the point and asks the question and she makes the audience aware of it, then what? What do we do with that information? Is it going to change what position he gets drafted? Well, no, it's not. You're bringing it up to smear the guy. Do you know why? Because literally you can talk about a range of things about a person, but you chose to discuss that. That's number one. Number two, the issue that I'm having, and I think a lot of people are going to have with Stephen A. Smith's position on this, is that there's no moral consistency. There's no moral consistency. Malika Andrews' morals only kick in when it's coming to men and black men. And some people feel like I'm race baiting. That's your bloody business. The reason I'm saying black men, because those seem to be her victims. Those seem to be her victims. Let me get to the next point. If Malika Andrews is this investigative journalist, why didn't I hear her really tapping into those investigative skills when it came to the Brett Favre situation? As a matter of fact, your network barely covered it. That's number one. But let's move on from Brett Favre. Malika Andrews seems to be a proponent of women, correct? I think we would all agree on this. Fantastic. So if she's such a proponent of women, if she was willing to come on your television show and basically talk to you like you're some small child on your show where people like us covered it, and we were happy that you pushed back on her, because I said with my 2 lips that was absolutely distasteful and disgusting for somebody who's in their late 20s or 20s or whatever it is to talk to a grown man in his 50s on live television like he's some little kid. I pushed back on that and I said that was absolutely disgraceful. I came to your defense on that matter. But my question is this: if she's such a strong proponent of women's rights, why didn't I hear any issues of her? Why didn't I hear any comments from her discussing the Dana White situation? I have scoured through the internet. I am yet to find a video with Malika Andrews commenting on what happened between Dana White and his wife. Why can't I find that? Why can't I find it? What happened to this moral consistency that cuts across the board? What happened to it then? We didn't see it. We didn't see it. Here are the facts. And it's the point that I made in the beginning. I'm going to say it here once more. First of all, Malika Andrews turns off a lot of people. Number two, if those people are turned off, you better make it your business to identify the reason why they're turned off. Why? Because those viewers, again, are your paying customers. You would have to be totally out of it to try to dismiss the views of your customers. And whenever you do that, what ends up happening? You begin to bleed customers. which is exactly what has been happening at ESPN. If you look at the subscribe, that's not a number I'm making up. That's not a number that somebody invented or forged. You guys are actually losing, on average, over the last 10 years, about 3 million subscribers per annum. Per annum. And if you followed anything about the recent cuts that took place at the network, people were pretty upset that somehow Malika Andrews, not only was she able to escape through, she somehow even got her promoted. She did. Which means that she's doing something to turn off your viewer base, unless you're saying that their views don't matter. Which to me, again, is out. It's imagine a businessman saying that the views of his customers don't matter. It's unreal. So people absolutely have a right to be upset about that. And let me just say this last point. This is the reason why some of these athletes don't take people in media seriously. Do you know why some athletes do not take people in media seriously? Because they figured out something. They realize that these guys get to hide under the veil of, well, we're doing our job, we're investigating news, so we can go at every single athlete under the sun. But when it comes to us having checks and balances for ourselves, we seldom do it. We seldom go back and forth with each other when we're doing things that are out of pocket. But when it's the athletes, well, it's our job. Well, the athletes and other people are saying, well, it's our job too. And we're going to call out the BS. There's no defense for asking that question. Do you know why? Because that question brought absolutely zero substance to the table. If I have a guest that comes on the Dreamerspro Show, which is something we're thinking about, and that guest has a personal issue that has no bearing on anything we're going to be discussing on our show, and I ask that person about a personal situation, it could be a domestic situation, whatever it is, or legal situation, if I decide to do that, I'm trying to reach for clicks and views. Let's cut out the BS. Why else would you do it? Why else am I doing that? Or I'm being nosy. You can choose what you want to ask. Don't put it on, oh, well, it's on journalism ethics to ask whatever you want. BS. BS. Because if that's the case, all of these sources that you're quoting and all, say the names. Oh, that's another unwritten rule. I get to say so-and-so said something, but I don't know who it is. Can you imagine if we produce videos like this on this channel? We're producing content with no supporting articles, no footnotes, no nothing. Every single show we produce, 99% of the shows, I can quote the article we got it from or the audio soundbite. Otherwise, I'm just here talking. And none of this can be verified. So I 100% disagree with Stephen A. Smith's position. And for him to defend somebody that was trying to embarrass you on TV, my brother, I don't know what you're talking about. I respect Stephen A. Smith for what he's accomplished. No one is saying that, but that doesn't mean we can't disagree. I disagree with that position. And I was someone that defended you on that situation. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comment section. We catch you on the next show. Peace.